Good morning, students. I welcome you all once again. You must have seen the videos of mine last video in which I have discussed the grammar topic with you. I hope you all understand well. Today, I am here again with yet another topic from your literature book, that is lesson 7, A Retrieved Reformation. A Retrieved Reformation is written by O. Henry. So first of all, we discuss about the author. William Sidney Porter, better known by his pen name O. Henry, was an American short story writer. His stories are known for their surprise endings, wit, wordplay, and clever twist endings. He wrote nearly 600 stories about life in America. Children, most of his stories have a plot twist and surprise endings, and he is also well known for his witty narration. His short stories deals with ordinary people like clerks, policemen, waitresses, etc. He was born on September 11, 1862 in Greensboro, North Carolina. His most famous short stories are The Gift of the Maggie, The Ransom of Red Chief, The Last Leaf, and many others. On June 5, 1910, he died of several complications, including an enlarged heart and diabetes. Moving on in the story, we discuss about the main characters. As there are many characters in the story, Jimmy Valentine is the story's enigmatic protagonist. Protagonist means a main hero of the story, or as you said, the story is based on Jimmy Valentine only, life only, and or you said that protagonist is the main character in the story. So Jimmy Valentine is the story's enigmatic protagonist, a notorious and highly skilled safecracker known to law enforcement as Prisoner 9762. Jimmy's kindness, youthful appearance, and good nature garners people's trust. He has no apparent interest other than opening safes until he falls in love with Annabel Adams. For the second half of the story, Jimmy invents a new identity as an honest man, becoming Ralph D. Spencer, a shoe shop owner. So, children, the protagonist of A Retrieved Reformation, Jimmy Valentine, is a safecracker and thief. Yet, despite Jimmy's criminal lifestyle, he remains a kind and likable character. And after a succession of burglaries, Jimmy attracts the attention of Ben Price. When he falls in love with Annabel Adams, his love for Annabel changes Jimmy, and he adopts the identity of Ralph D. Spencer, an honest shoe salesman. Now, next character is Ben Price. Ben Price is the police detective who first put Jimmy in prison and who later tracks Jimmy to Elmore. Ben works the case slowly but thoroughly. At the end of the story, Ben decides not to arrest Jimmy, having seen that he is a reformed man. Next one is Mike Dolan. Mike Dolan is Jimmy's friend, and he runs a cafe above which Jimmy has a room. So he helped free Jimmy from prison and is part of Jimmy's network of criminal accomplices. He is friendly to Jimmy and amused by Jimmy's seemingly insatiable need to open safes. Next one, Annabel Adams. Annabel Adams is Jimmy's fiancée and the daughter of Mr. Adams, who owns the Elmore Bank. Annabel is bashful and fun-loving. She knows nothing about Jimmy's life as a criminal nor his real name. Next in the series, Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams is the owner of the Elmore Bank and father of Annabel. It is Mr. Adams' bank that Jimmy Valentine initially cases when arriving in town, and it is his safe that Agatha, his granddaughter, and Annabel's niece becomes locked in, prompting Ralph to crack the lock and expose his true identity as Jimmy Valentine. Now, next in the series, there are two children, Agatha and May. So, first, Agatha is the 5-year-old daughter of Annabel's sister, and her older sister May accidentally locks Agatha inside the bank vault, which Jimmy eventually opens. And May is a 9-year-old daughter of Annabel's sister. While playing, she accidentally traps her younger sister Agatha in a bank vault. Annabel's sister brings her young children for a tour of the Elmore Bank. Towards the end of the story, she panics when her daughter Agatha becomes trapped in the vault. Now, these are the main characters in the story. Now, we move forward towards the chapter A Retrieved Reformation. Children, A Retrieved Reformation tells the story of a safecracker who moves to town, falls in love, and assumes the identity of Rolf Spencer, a trader in shoes, before he opens a vault to rescue a child, knowing it would seal his fate. Now, let's see what happened in the story. A retrieved reformation means, now as you know, retrieve means to regain, and reformation means the process of getting totally changed. So how Jimmy Valentine, the thief in the story, totally changed himself after falling in love with Annabel Adams. So we see in the story. Now we move forward. A guard came to the prison shoe shop where Jimmy Valentine was carefully stitching uppers and escorted him to the front office. There, the warden handed Jimmy his pardon, which had been signed that morning by the governor. Now, here in the prison shoe shop, Jimmy Valentine was busily at work making shoes. Children, a prison officer came into the shop and led Jimmy to the prison officer. There, Jimmy was given an important paper, and it said that he was free. Now, Valentine, said the warden, you will go out in the morning, brace up, and make a man of yourself. You are not a bad fellow at heart. Stop cracking safes and live straight. Brace up means be strong and courageous. Now, Valentine, said the warden, that you will go out tomorrow morning. So this is your chance. Be strong and courageous and make a man of yourself. You are not a bad fellow at heart. Stop breaking safes open and live a better life. So warden here trying to make him understand that he has to stop breaking safes and live a better life in the future. At 7:15 on the next morning, Jimmy stood in the warden's outer office. The clerk handed him a railroad ticket and the $5 bill with which the law expected him to rehabilitate himself into good citizenship and prosperity. The warden shook hands with him and Mr. James Valentine walked out into the sunshine. So at 7:15 on the next morning, Jimmy stood again in the office, and the clerk given him a railroad ticket and the $5 bill with which the law expected him to rehabilitate himself. Rehabilitate means to settle someone again. So here it is said that they gave him the money $5, uh, because they thought that the $5 was supposed to help him become a better man. So they have given him a railroad ticket and a $5 bill, which which is useful for him to change into good citizenship or make him a better man. And after that, the warden shook hands with him and he walked out into the sunshine. Jimmy headed straight for a restaurant. There, he tasted the first sweet joys of liberty in the shape of a broiled chicken and a bottle of white wine. From there, he proceeded leisurely to the depot station and boarded his train. 3 hours set him down in a little town near the state line. He went to the cafe of one Mike Dolan and shook hands with Mike, who was alone behind the bar. Now, Jimmy went straight to a restaurant and there he tasted the first sweet joys of being free, and he had a good dinner there. After that, he went to the train station. He gave there 3 hours later, he got off the train in a small town and there he went to the restaurant of Mike Dolan. Sorry, we couldn't make it sooner. Jimmy, my boy, said Mike, feeling all right. Fine, said Jimmy. Got my key. He got his key and went upstairs, unlocking the door of a room at the rear. Everything was just as he had left it. So he went to the cafe of Mike Dolan, and Mike Dolan was alone there. After shaking hands, he said, I'm sorry, we couldn't do it sooner, Jimmy, my boy. But there was that safe in Springfield too. It was not easy. So, feeling all right. Fine, said Jimmy. So, Jimmy said, fine. Is my room waiting for me? So, where is my key? Then he went up and opened the door of a room at the back of the house. Everything was just as he had left it. There on the floor was a still Ben Price collar button that had been torn from that eminent detective's shirt band when they had overpowered Jimmy to arrest him. So he went up and opened the door of a room at the back of the house. Everything was as he had left it. It was here they had found Jimmy when they took him to the prison. So there on the floor was a small piece of cloth and it had been torn from the coat of the cop, Ben Price, as Jimmy was fighting to escape. Pulling out from the wall a folding bed, Jimmy slid back a panel in the wall and dragged out a dust-covered suitcase. Now there was a bed against the wall, and Jimmy pulled the bed toward the middle of the room. The wall behind it looked like any wall, but now Jimmy found and opened a small door in it, and from this opening he pulled out a dust-covered bag. He opened this and gazed fondly at the finest set of burglar's tools in the East. So he opened this and looked lovingly at the tools for breaking open a safe. No finer tools could be found any place. They were complete. Everything needed was here. They had been made of a special material in the necessary sizes and shapes, and Jimmy had planned them himself as he was very proud of them. So it was a complete set made of specially tempered steel, the latest designs in drills, punches, braces and bits, clamps and augers, with 2 or 3 novelties invented by Jimmy himself, in which he took pride. Over $900 they had cost him to have made. So these tools are it had cost him over $900 to have these tools made at a place where they make such things for men who work at the job of safe breaking or safe cracking. A week after the release of Jimmy Valentine, there was a neat job of safe burglary done in Richmond, Indiana, with no clue to the author. So, a week after Valentine left the prison, a safe was broken open in Richmond, Indiana, and no one knew who did it. $800 were taken from there. So, a scant $800 was all that was secured. Then, after that, 2 weeks after that, a patented, improved burglar proof safe in Logansport was opened like a cheese to the tune of $1,500, currency, securities, and silver untouched. So, 2 weeks after that, a safe in Logansport was opened. It was a new kind of safe. It has been made, they said, so strong that no one could break it open. But someone did and took $1,500. That began to interest the rock catchers. Then an old fashioned bank safe in Jefferson City became active and threw out banknotes amounting to $5,000. Then a safe in Jefferson City was opened. $5,000 were taken. The loss was a big one now. The laws were now high enough to bring the matter up into Ben's Price class of work. By comparing notes, a remarkable similarity in the methods of the burglaries was noticed. Ben Price investigated the scenes of the robberies and was heard to remark. So now this loss was a big one, and Ben Price was a cop who worked on such important matters, and now he began to work on this. And he went to Richmond, Indiana, to Logansport to see how the safe breaking had been done on in those places. He was heard to say, I can see that even after that he conclude that that's Jim Valentine's autograph. His resumed business. Look at that combination knob, jerked out as easy as pulling up a radish in wet weather. He's got the only clamps that can do it. And look how clean those tumblers were punched out. Jimmy never has to drill but one hole. Yes, I guess I want Mr. Valentine. So Ben Price was there. He went to Richmond, Indiana, and to Logansport to see how the safe breaking had been done in those places. And he was heard to say that he could see that Jim Valentine has been here, had been here. So he is in business again. Look at the way he opened this one. Everything easy, everything clean. He's the only man who has the tools to do it, and he's the only man who knows how to use tools like this. So yes, I want Mr. Valentine. Ben Price knew Jimmy's habit. He had learned them while working up the Springfield case. Long jumps, quick getaways, no Confederates, and a taste of good society. These ways had helped Mr. Valentine to become noted as a successful dodger of retribution. So Ben Price knew how Jimmy worked. Children, Jimmy would go from one city to another far away. He always worked alone. He always left quickly when he was finished. He enjoyed being with nice people. For all these reasons, it was not easy to catch Mr. Valentine. One afternoon, Jimmy Valentine and his suitcase climbed out the mail hack in Elmore, a little town 5 miles off the railroad town in Arkansas. Jimmy, looking like an athletic young senior just home from college, went down the sidewalk towards a hotel. So one afternoon, Jimmy Valentine and his bag arrived in a small town named Elmore. He went Elmore, and there Jimmy, looking as young as a college boy, walked down the street towards the hotel. A young lady crossed the street, passed him at the corner, and entered a door over which was a sign of the Elmore Bank. Jimmy looked into her eyes, forgot what he was, and became another man. She lowered her eyes and colored slightly. Young men of Jimmy's style and looks were scarce in Elmore. So when he went to Elmore, a young lady walked across the street and passed him at the corner and entered a door. Over the door there was a sign, the Elmore Bank. And Jimmy Valentine looked into her eyes and forgetting at once that what he was, he became another man. She looked away and brighter color came into her face. Young men like Jimmy did not appear often in Elmore. She had never seen before the men like Jimmy there. So Jimmy collared a boy that was loafing on the steps of the bank and began to ask him questions about the town. By and by, the young lady came out looking unconscious of the young man with the suitcase and went her way. So Jimmy saw a boy near the bank door and began to ask questions about the town. After a time, the young lady came out and went on her way. She seemed not to see Jimmy as she passed him. "Isn't that young lady Miss Polly Simpson?" asked Jimmy. "Nah," said the boy. "She's Annabel Adams. Her pa owns his bank." So when Jimmy asked from this boy that isn't that lady Miss Polly Simpson, so the man thought. So Jimmy asked that boy that this young lady is Miss Polly Simpson. So that boy said, "No, she is not. She is Annabel Adams, and her pa owns his bank." Then Jimmy went to the Planters Hotel, registered at Ralph D. Spencer, and engaged a room. He leaned on the desk and declared his platform to the clerk. He said he had come to Elmore to look for a location to go into business. How was the shoe business? So Jimmy went to the hotel where he said that his name was Ralph D. Spencer and he got a room there. He told the hotel man that he had come to Elmore to go into business. So how was the shoe business? Was there already a good shoe shop? Business now in the town. He had thought of the shoe business. Was there an opening? So his plan to open the shoe shop there, and the clerk was impressed by the clothes and the manner of Jimmy and cordially gave information. So the man thought that Jimmy's clothes and manners were fine, so he was happy to talk to him. Yes, there ought to be a good opening in the shoe line. There wasn't an exclusive shoe store in the place. The dry goods and general stores handled them. Business in all lines was fairly good. Hoped Mr. Spencer would decide to locate in Elmore and he would find it a pleasant town to live in and the people very sociable. So the man thought that Jimmy's clothes and manners were fine, so he was happy to talk to him. And he said that yes, Elmore needed a good shoe shop. There was no shop that sold just shoes. Shoes were sold in the big shops that sold everything. All business in Elmore was good, and he hoped that Mr. Spencer would decide to stay in Elmore, and it was a pleasant town to live in, and the people were very friendly here. Mr. Ralph Spencer remained in Elmore and prospered. He opened a shoe store and secured a good run of trade. So Mr. Spencer said that he would stay in the town a few days and learn something about it. And he said he himself would carry his bag up to his room. He did not want a boy to take. So socially also he was a success and made many friends, and he accomplished the wish of his heart. He met Miss Annabel Adams and became more and more captivated by her charms. So Mr. Ralph Spencer remained in Elmore and he started a shoe business there, and his business was very good there. Also, he made many friends and he was successful with the wish of his heart. He met Annabel Adams. He liked her better every day. So at the end of the year, the situation of Mr. Ralph Spencer was this, that he had won the respect of the community. His shoe store was flourishing and he and Annabel were engaged to be married in 2 weeks. Mr. Adams, the typical plodding country banker, approved of Spencer. Annabel's pride in him almost equaled her affection. He was as much at home in the family of Mr. Adams and that of Annabel's married sister as if he were already a member. So at the end of a year, again everyone in Elmore liked Mr. Rolf Spencer and his shoe shop was doing very good business. And he and Annabel were going to be married in 2 weeks. Mr. Adams, the small town banker, liked Spencer and Annabel was very proud of him. He seemed already to belong to the Adams family. So that's all for today, children. We will see the second part of this video, the rest of the chapter in the next video of mine. Goodbye and have a nice day. Stay home, stay healthy. Bye bye.